being the Stay Positive podcast, I thought this was a funny thing to come across, and I do believe most people from high school, or if you're a fan of Phineas and Ferb, the creators made a sequel to that called, I think, Murphy Murphy.
No way.
So you might know what I'm. It's not a sequel, Pete. It's just it's like another show made by the same guys. Anyway, the last law I like to talk about is something called Murphy's Law. So, for those of you who don't know what Murphy's Law is, allow me, instead of Pete, to give you a Wikipedia like brief description. So, number one of Murphy's Law: in any field of endeavor, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Well, ain't that a positive way to go about life?
Marvelous.
Number two: left to themselves, things always go from bad to worse.
Who's this Murphy guy, man? And why is he so damn depressing?
He just had a bad day, I
Okay,
suppose.
keep going.
Number three: if there is a possibility of several things going wrong, the one that will go wrong is the one that will cause the most damage.
Bro, this is actually pretty horrible. This is genuinely depressing.
It's not. Don't worry, Pete. We'll talk about it. Number four: nature always sides with the hidden flaws. So I assume that just means nature is out to get you, but we're always out to get nature, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's tough.
And last, number five: if everything seems to be going well, you have obviously overlooked something.
Okay, that's just the cherry on top of it all, man. Look, I've
That's a
always said that, life is a bunch of up and downs and roller coaster. Don't expect your high to stay high all the time. But that's just saying, okay, you know what? You're happy. You deserve to be sad now. Like, come on,
I
man.
think
What kind of stuff is
that's a
that?
nice cherry on top of the cake, I think.
I'm not with that
So,
energy. But tell me, how does this relate?
I just think it's funny, especially with how like social media is nowadays. So many people talk. I think people use social media now to like rant, and because cancel culture is a thing, people use people's rants against them. So things can definitely go from bad to worse if you're not cautious or careful. And I think it's just funny that, have you ever had the bad day where things just seem like they don't get any better? Like you think things are going bad and they can't get any worse, and then something else happens.
Yeah.
Or if you've ever seen a movie per se, and someone's just going through a horrible time, and then they say something cliche like, how can things get possibly worse, or there's no way things can get possibly worse, and then all of a sudden it starts raining and like cats and dogs starts piling the streets or something like that. It's been basically like that, and I think it's very funny because I in my personal opinion, I believe that this is all mind games. I think that if you want your day to be a bad day, you have that power. As weird of a sentence as that is to say, you can make your days horrible if you really want to. But you also have the ability to make them really good. That doesn't mean things are going to go your way. I'm probably not going to win the lottery today if I really really want to, but that doesn't necessarily mean today's going to be inherently the worst day or the worst possible day it could be. You have the power to take everything you know and everything you've experienced and try and move on from things. And sometimes things that suck happen. Maybe you missed the bus. Maybe you were late for class. Maybe you got an exam paper and that wasn't a good grade. Maybe relationship problems. It's maybe you lost a tennis match today. Maybe a save file from something you were working on got corrupted. So many things could go wrong in your day. But I feel we've constantly reiterated multiple times throughout our series that if you have things that don't go your way, the best you can do is just try and shake it off, walk it off, and go about your day. Because what happened has happened. There's no necessarily changing what's happened. You take what life throws at you and you work with it. Because after all, it is your life. You don't get there are no save files to load back to. You have to roll the dice and play your hand every day. And I think Murphy's Law is I think it's more so to be used for comedy. It's more so for literary devices or for movies or TV shows or for just comedic effect. The idea that everything that possibly could go wrong goes wrong. But as long as you're still breathing, as long as you're still standing, as long as you're still going day in and day out, it can't be so bad. You know, things can get better, and it's up to you to make it better. So you can shove it up Murphy's you know what.
Yeah, I'm all with that. I honestly was gonna say exactly all the stuff you said. Like, it's all up to you. It's an attitude thing, you know. I'm not a believer in Murphy's Law personally. I think that as you said it, if you want it to be a bad day, it'll be a bad day. If you want it to be a good day, it'll be a good day. And even if bad stuff happens, it could still be a good day depending on the way you frame it in your mind. So that's why I just choose the good. Why not?
Absolutely. Bad things typically are temporary, and I know as creatures we typically think short-sightedly. We think, ah man, this really sucks, and you live in the moment. You know, you think how bad the bad stuff is, and you don't think about 5 years later how none of that's gonna matter. Like you and me, for example, we went to school at undergrad, and we had some good times, and we've had some not so good times. But I won't speak for you, but I can tell you right now, I really don't even think about the bad times
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm laughing at it, like laughing at how silly it was to be upset at the time. Because at the time, it might seem heart wrenching. So. It might seem like the world is out to get you levels of bad. But 4 years later, 2 years later, heck, even 1 year later, maybe even like a few months later, you're gonna look back at that and you're gonna laugh, or you're gonna say, "Why was I so upset?" Or you're not gonna be fazed by it. In my experience,
In your
anyway.
humble opinion. No, I agree. I mean, looking back on all the difficult times of college, either in school or people or tennis, all of it, I do think that in the moment you tend to just overestimate how important this thing is to your life. You know?
And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So for every bad thing that happens to you, as soon as you shake it off, you're already a pretty stronger person than you were previously.
Yeah, it's a source of growth.